Hey everyone, it's Types and Abyssai just released in Japan. If you're not familiar, Abyssai is the Pokemon TCG expansion, obviously in Japan here, that is M5, so the fifth main expansion of the Mega Evolution era, and this is the expansion after Ninja Spinner. Ninja Spinner is Chaos Rising, and Abyssai is Pitch Black. So this set will be releasing internationally in, I think it's like couple of months, if I'm not mistaken, or like a month. I don't remember the exact date, but anyways, it is releasing in the future. It is the next set after Chaos Rising there, and this set is super cool. This set has a bunch of really interesting archetypes and fun Pokemon just in the set today, which honestly makes it a super fun set. It's not crazy powerful, though, of course, I think this has been a big talking point in the Pokemon TCG community recently, where the sets are generally a little weak. This set isn't super crazy strong, but it is. I mean, I think compared to the other sets, it's certainly fine enough, and it has some really cool cards, which we're going to dive into in today's video. I'm looking here on PokeCardBook. I'm at some gym battle winning deck lists here, which are like pretty small local tournaments. There are also a couple of lists that were created by some people, I guess, in the community who I think are like affiliated with Book or something like that, but these aren't actually lists that have been played. There were some interesting cards here, like Brilliant Blender, Explorer's Guidance, which I'm a big fan of, and just some different cards here. But we'll dive into the list that people have actually been playing, and this deck here, also it's auto-translated, I believe. So the name of the deck is, well, the current translation of the deck is called Phantom Hide, apparently, is how Limitless has translated it here. I've seen it as Cursed Veil. I'm looking at Limitless today instead of Pokemon Proxies because it's a little less scrolling, hopefully. But anyways, you have this ability. What the ability actually does is it prevents all effects of attacks and abilities from your opponent's Pokemon done to this Pokemon. And it's on the Poltergeist, the Sinistry, the where is it? The Shuppet and the Bayonet here. And then you also see some different Pokemon in this deck, specifically this Dhelmise. There's also the Poltergeist itself is an attacking option, and there's also a Spiritomb. The Spiritomb, let's see, it's not in this list. It's one of in this list here. And so I'll go over what the Pokemon do real quick. I'm not going to go over the Shuppet and the Bayonet because they're not super meaningful. The Spiritomb is the worst of these, presumably because it needs you to have 13 or more Pokemon with the ability Phantom Hide in your discard pile. Then you choose 2 of your opponent's Pokemon and quadruple the number of damage counters on them. Super fun, but 13 is so many. You have 16 in total in your deck. There's, again, 4 different Pokemon. You have 4 of each. At most. And then you have the Sinistra here. This one says if you have 6 on Pokemon with Phantom Hide in your discard, put 4 damage counters on each of your opponent's Pokemon there. So this is going to be a nice little spread option. This list, oh wait, this list doesn't run all of them. Okay, I guess that makes sense, but if you want to use Spiritomb, you really do need to play all of them. This list is just attacking with the Dhelmise, though, it looks like. And Dhelmise here is I guess the main one here. If you have 4 or more Pokemon with this ability in your discard, you do 140 more. So you're doing 170 for 1 Psychic there. That's pretty efficient there. Needing 6 in the in the discard isn't too bad. I accidentally said Lost Zone because this is kind of similar to the Lost Zone archetype we saw with Sableye and Cramorant and things like that. Cramorant is very similar. The old Cramorant is similar to the new Dhelmise here, except the Dhelmise does a bunch more damage, which is really nice here. And we see that Solar 1 Energy, we see Basic Psychic and Telepathic Psychic. You can use Telepathic Psychic. It's not like crazy good in the deck, but it is good. You can get specifically your Lotus Clefairy EX out here. We also see this list here. This one's running. We see different pieces of the actual Pokemon with the ability here. Obviously, the more you play, the less consistent your deck is, and they don't really do too much. The Shuppet and the Bayonet are what's the Bayonet even do? It does for 1 Psychic, it does 80 searches for a card put into your hand, which is like not bad. It's not crazy good either. I mean, it can knock out some previous evolution basics, which is an interesting thing there. We also see the Dunsparce, which is interesting as well, and we also see a new supporter. This is intended to go with these with this set of Pokemon, and it's going here. This one says you discard 2 Pokemon that don't have a rule box from your hand, draw 3 for each card discarded in this way. This is a really good draw supporter in my opinion. See it as a 2 of in this list, a 4 of in this list. Also, see some kind of interesting things in these lists. We see Legacy Energy. We see where is it? We see Prism Energy, and also Then Moltres, this list here runs Brave Bangle, and that which makes sense. And then Lucky Helmet, which is a bit more interesting there. And we also see Liz Clefairy EX. This is a really big thing because with Liz Clefairy EX, and then those 4 Pokemon in the discard pile with the ability, plus the 30 base damage there of the Delmise, doing 170, double that to 340 there. That's one-shotting Dragapult EX. So Delmise is able to one-shot Dragapult EX, and also your Pokemon with the ability are immune to Dragapult EX's, as well as Dusknoir, Munkidori, and I guess also Frostlass's bench damage there, which is pretty nice. I suppose you're not necessarily looking to play a ton of them. You can place them. They're not immune to the active damage, so they're still getting, like, you can't just wall Dragapult with something like this, but it is a nice little option there. And I think this is definitely the thing that's caught people's attention the most. I think it is definitely good. I think, obviously being able to beat Dragapult is good. Dragapult is still very good, obviously. And so being able to beat that is nice. I don't think this is a complete auto win, but I do think it is good against it. I don't know how it fares against other things, though, and it depends how much you lean to the spread stuff as well. I think Delmise, a single prize attacker that's like kind of okay. It kind of reminds me of, a Pokemon with okay in its name, Okidogi there. It's an okay deck there, but its ceiling isn't super high, and I think that's kind of similar to Ghost Veil if you're really leaning into Delmise, but it's not bad either, and it's pretty fast and efficient and powerful for a single prizer there. And this deck I could see as its ceiling being as good as Alakazam is right now, or it has been, like, as the third most played deck, third deck in the game. I could definitely see that for Ghost Veil. Or it's been translated as Ghost Veil, or what was it, Phantom Hide, or whatever. We'll see what the ability name is there, but I think it's pretty decent. Another list here. This one's running, so some different cards here. We see more Pokemon with the ability. We see 13 of the total 16 there. Also, Prism Tower. This is not a new card. Well, it's not a new card to Japan. It's a card from Chaos Rising. You discard 2 cards from your hand, draw a card. Very good. In terms of actually discarding the Pokemon, I didn't actually mention this, but you have Ultra Ball, you have the Supporter Gwyn, and you have the Stadium Prism Tower. That's really what you're looking at. That's what I'm a little worried about. I don't know if that's going to be enough all the time. You're looking to, like, Ultra Ball and then Prism Tower and then Baby Gwen, but you're mostly looking for Ultra Ball, Prism Tower, and that will let you attack turn 1. You're really looking to attack turn 1. If you don't, yes, it's not the end of the world, but you'd much rather attack turn 1. Also, as I'm looking at this, I don't think any of the lists have, like, switching, so you need to start the Delmise as well, which is, I guess, partially why. I mean, honestly, I could even see the deck running, like, lots of evolutions. You could run for the Baness, for the Poltergeist, and then just maybe a couple of some basics, whichever one you want to do there. Sinistras, I mean, I said the wrong one because they're switched with the other Convergent Evolution or whatever, Sinistra and Bayonet there, because you can't start them, which is good. But then you're going to start your other 2 prizers more, which kind of sucks. But anyways, the deck is kind of interesting there. We see more Dunsparce here. We see Crushing Hammer. Obviously, there's different things you could include in the deck here. But yeah, overall, a pretty interesting deck, I'd say, with some different options. Oh, here's a list running a bunch of evolutions. We do see, like, Bayonets there as well. We see a list here with a Spiritomb. And if you are running a Spiritomb, you really need to max out the counts of the Pokemon there. Then that's gonna hurt your consistency there. You certainly see the card here, Brilliant Blender, allowing you to discard cards easier as well. You also see that you're probably attacking more with the Sinistra. The Sinistra also attacks for colorless, by the way, so you're playing Psychic Energy there. The Psychic Pokemon attack for Psychic Energy there. And then also, if Pokemon are prized, I mean, you have some wiggle room. You need 13 of the 16, which should be fine, but it's definitely, like, you can't be cutting into the counts in your deck if they're prized, and that can be pretty bad. We see another list here with nothing too crazy. We see a Wondrous Patch that actually seems nice potentially for, like, switching stuff. You attach the energy and then you use that as a switch. Although it only runs 2 basic psychics, which seems a little sketchy, especially when you can't search it. Okay, now we see the next deck, which is Toucannon. So I recently made a video on Toucannon. I thought it wasn't super good, but the video was focused on the card being really weird, which it is very weird, because it's part of the Legendary Beast trio or something like that. It's very strange. Check that video out if you are not sure what I'm talking about. Though, to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what's going on in this card either, theming-wise. But in terms of power, at first I was like, this card's just like a random, just like trash card. But then the more I was looking at it, I was like, this card's all right. And you have the attack Feather Rondo. Also, you have the ability Skydraw to draw a card every turn, which is okay. We see 2 Toucannon lists here, and I don't think either of them are specifically like really relying on this ability. The ability certainly is, good to have. You'd rather have it than not have it, but it's not some like crazy ability. I mean, it's worse than Dracloak, and Dracloak's a stage 1. And Dracloak is certainly a very nice draw engine there, but it's not some like broken draw engine, and obviously this is weaker in a stage 2, so it's a nice little bonus, but that's fine there. Then Feather Rondo for 1 colorless is 60, 20 more for each bench Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's. So if you have Air Zero Underdepths, which both these lists here are running, then you have a max bench of 8 there. You're going to be swinging for 220 if your opponent has no bench. Obviously, if they have no bench, that's probably bad for them. So doing 220 for 1 is still okay. Then if they got a couple more Pokemon there, then you're swinging for a couple ends in like 2. You're swinging for 260. If they got full bench, or like not a full bench because of Air Zero Underdepth. So full bench without Air Zero Underdepth. I mean, they're not playing a Terra, it's their full bench. You got 5. Then you're swinging for 320, which knocks us up like Dragapult EX. I suppose then that's not the full bench, but you know what I mean there. The damage seems decent. We see Dusknoir in this list here. We see this other one running Teal Masargapon EX, which is kind of interesting. I definitely think it makes more sense with like Trapagos, and that seems kind of cool. Trapagos hasn't been super good for a while, but it's definitely an interesting deck here, I think, and I really like this deck idea. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but you have the Dusknoir line to add some extra damage, which I think is pretty important there. People aren't really playing very much Psyduck either, because people aren't playing that much Dusknoir, despite the fact that Dusknoir is honestly still really good in my opinion. I think whenever I play against it, I'm scared. Whenever I play with it, I'm like, this feels pretty good. Unless Psyduck, But overall, not the most interesting card, but definitely an interesting deck with a pretty straightforward Pokemon there. Again, except for the theming stuff, which is as I talked about in a previous video, because it's really, really weird there. Also 3 Judge in this deck. That's pretty interesting. We see Maximum Belt, no unfair stamps. That's cool. We see Mega Manectric plus the new single prize Manectric. This is actually pretty interesting. So we see this is Lightning Box. I actually have not played Electric with Iono's Kilowattrel, or honestly really much Electric at all. Tell me in the comment section, well, one, if you just have any deck ideas, I'd love to see those. Some struggling for deck ideas right now from the new set and just cool decks in general. But 2, if you played with this deck as well, with Electric, with Iono's Kilowattrel, or those 2 Pokemon together, not even necessarily with Mega Manectric EX there, but you can accelerate to your bench with the Electric from the discard, and then you can attach it to Iono's Kilowattrel to have that as a really nice draw engine there. Also, I will mention, it's, what's it called, Volty Lightning Energy or whatever. This card is actually, or Volt Lightning Energy. This card's so good. I mean, not broken, but really good. It's your Lightning Pokemon just do 20 more damage. We've seen this card in the past, and it's just straight up very good. Yes, power levels have gone up a little since then, but it's still going to be really good. And then we see that it's running Mega Manectric, which I'll pull up here. And Mega Manectric EX here, this card does for 2 Lightning, it does 120 in Walls of Basics, which Walling Basics can be really good. And for 3 energy, you can do up to 330 if you just go to Land Energy from it. Otherwise, you just do 200. You also have Free Retreat, which is pretty nice in the deck here. Then you look at the new single prize Manectric as well. This first attack does 50 for 2 Lightning. The second attack does 110 and hits through stuff, which is not super useful. But the first attack is 50 in Wall's Evolution. So with the single prize Manectric and the Mega Manectric EX, you can theoretically wall anything. Obviously, at any given time, you're not walling anything. And when I say wall anything, it doesn't actually wall Pokemon that are doing effects or attacks. This you have Battle Cage to stop some of that stuff as well, but that's not even you're active anyways there, but we do see, also does have, it's interesting to see a bunch of Shaman in these decks as well, and we see Psyduck in this list as well. But anyways, with Mega Manectric EX plus the single prize Manectric, it is definitely an interesting deck idea. I was thinking about it a little bit, and interesting to see that someone played and found some amount of success with it here as well. And overall, the Lightning package is pretty interesting. I like Lightning as like a theme. I think it's pretty cool. I like yellow, If you see my channel logo, which you should see more, because you should subscribe, because Pokemon TCG is awesome. But I like Lightning theoretically, but I don't play with it too much. If anyone has deck ideas for Lightning, I'd love to hear them, because I want to play more Lightning, because it's kind of cool. Moving on to a different deck here, we have this deck. This is, I guess it is just Mega Darkrai. I was like, wow, there's so many different types of Pokemon. There's actually not that many different types of Pokemon. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, which isn't that many, but they're literally all alternating. So, or they're not all alternating. I guess Pheasant EX and Yveltal are the same type, but they're not even on the same line. But we have the new Mega Darkrai EX. Mega Darkrai EX, we also see another list here we see a few lists here. The way I was thinking would be something like this, which we'll get to. But this list here is focusing on the second attack in Mega Darkrai EX, which is Abyss Eye, by the way, which is the name of the set. If you didn't know, the main attack of the main Pokemon in the set is the name of the set. So in Japan, so Abyss Eye here for 3 Darkness Energy says if your opponent's active is affected by a special condition, that Pokemon is now instantly knocked out there. Of course, this is a basic Mega for which gives up 3 prizes. So that is a little sketchy. Basic Megas are, I mean, they're kind of good. Obviously, Mega Kangaskhan EX is good, but that's because of its ability. And then you look at like Mega Absolute EX, which we'll take a look at within some of these like toolbox decks as well. Is it in this list? Yeah, you see it as a one of there, but you are kind of squishy-ish. I mean, squishy kind of in quotes there, but certainly not as tanky as, these stage 2 megas there. And then you look at the fact that you are taking knockouts, but you're just taking knockouts. We've seen other megas, like I'd say Mega Latias EX is honestly the one that I think of the most. Whereas like this Pokemon can take knockouts pretty easily on most Pokemon, which is generally true. It doesn't knock out everything, but it is pretty strong and can attack pretty quickly as well. And that card hasn't seen like any play. It's actually seen a tiny bit of play, but for its first attack there. But in terms of taking big knockouts on a Mega, your opponents just often respond with a knockout, and then that's bad here. So leaning all in for these like big Mega attacks is a little scary, especially on these basics here. But anyways, it's pretty cool here. You need to get a special condition though. You do that using the Pokemon Toucannon EX here, which burns them. It gives them a special condition. It doesn't really matter what it is here. But then you also have the first attack on Mega Darkrai EX, which is pretty decent. It's much more efficient as well. Not requiring 3 energy. I mean, it's more efficient. It does. It's 2 energy. And so, or cheaper. I don't know if efficient is quite the right word, but it's probably more efficient, let's be honest. Anyway, so for 2 energy, you do 110, but if any of your bench Pokemon have any damage counters on them, it does 110 more. So a solid 220, pretty decent, not like crazy good, but pretty solid. You can theoretically attack with this turn 1. Not really, to be honest. I'm not sure if any deck's trying to do that, but we'll get to the attack a little more in a minute. But Mega Darkrai with a first attack is really fun. It's not very, I mean, in terms of powering up, it's kind of awkward. We see Mega Audino EX, honestly, super underrated card. Mega Audino EX does get better with this set, though I don't think we'll talk about it in this video. But there is a new card that lets you reflip, and so that's kind of cool. Same thing with Mega Kangaskhan EX as well. It's only colorless Pokemon, but most of the flipping Pokemon are colorless. So see that card there as the way to get things going. Overall, there's not too much to talk about with this deck. Honestly, it's not super simple, but for the fact that it almost looks like a toolbox deck, it's not really that. But then we see an actual toolbox deck here, which is a Toxtricity box deck where you use Toxtricity to accelerate to your Darkness Pokemon. Toxtricity from Phantasmal Flames, which does accelerate to bench. For some reason, I thought it did, and then I thought it didn't. But yeah, so you accelerate a Darkness Energy from your deck to one of your bench Darkness Pokemon, and then if you attach an energy, specifically if you attached it, so you don't damage them if you don't, but if you do attach energy, you put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. This can allow you to obviously power up Pokemon, and then we also see it with the damage counters needed for Mega Darkrai EX, as well as for the new Chiyu as well. If it has damage counters on it, it does 110 for 1 darkness. Keep in mind you can't use this with Risky Ruins. You could play Mega Darkrai EX with Risky Ruins to damage another Pokemon to set things up there. But in a deck like this, Risky Ruins doesn't damage your Pokemon at all, which actually could be good. Oh, I forgot there's also Dark Bell, which you do see in this list. Dark Bell is a card that actually also doesn't affect Darkness Pokemon, but it confuses both actives, assuming they're not Darkness there. So this card is interesting, obviously kind of intended to be paired with Mega Darkrai EX. There's actually a whole confusion package, I guess, but it's not super good. There's like a Malamar in it, and that card is pretty terrible. But Dark Bell here is an interesting control option. I don't know if we'll see it in anything else. I hope I didn't miss it, but I doubt I did. We also see a bunch of Petrol and Team Rocket stuff in this deck as well, which is kind of interesting. Oh wait, we see a Nighttime Mine in the other deck as well. Nighttime Mine, good card, so good. I don't know if it's so good, but it's all right. It's pretty underrated. I talk about it a bunch because it is underrated. But anyways, we see the Chiyu here as a new attacking option. I don't think the Chiyu is super good. We see it in this next list as well, and this other one. It's okay. It's definitely a decent option. But you compare it to other cards I guess it's kind of comparable to Moltres, which is a decent hard that you do need a stage 1 realistically to set it up. And then you also have okay, I will mention with the stage 1 setting it up, though, you still get the energy acceleration from Toxtricity. You just accelerate to Moltres or to Chi-Yu, and then you attach to the Pokemon that you would have accelerated to. So I wanted to mention that. But anyways, with Chi-Yu there, it is okay compared to something like, say, Cramorant or from the Lost Zone deck, or even like the Delmise that we were talking about earlier. These like really powerful 1 energy or cheap basic attacking Pokemon you're attacking with turn 1 is really good, and you can't really do that with but anyways, so you have Toxtricity, you see Mega Absol EX, Mega Darkrai EX, we see the Amoonguss, which does damage based on what damage counts on your opponent's active. We see Munkidora is a bigger piece in this deck. Not a piece at all in this deck here, which is interesting, with no Darkness Pokemon. We also see Janine's Secret Art or whatever. That card I always forget about, but I guess could allow you to attack with like Mega Darkrai EX turn 1 there. We see also special red cards. Still need to get used to playing with that card. Honestly, I played a little bit of Chaos Rising. Have not been special red carded or played it. I've been mostly playing, to be honest, the pre-release format. I played it twice. But yeah, you see Dark Bell here as a 2 of here, just like for some synergy. Definitely interesting as a 4 of here. I don't exactly know why it's a 4 of. I guess you have like Yveltal as well to trap and confuse, and you have Pekron as well to trap and poison and confuse and stuff. So that could be pretty rough and definitely interesting there. Then we see Mega Excadrill EX. Apparently, a few people have played it. I don't think it's super good. Wow, that's a lot of people who've been playing Mega Excadrill, pairing it with Metang, and then the new Metagross as well from Chaos Rising. Mega Excadrill EX here has 2 attacks. First one's like some mill attack, but it is pretty bad. Second attack it does for 3, it does 200. For 5, it does 330. Honestly, this stack, I mean, we were just looking at Mega Manectric EX. Mega Manectric was a card that people were like, this card is going to be so good. And I was like, this card is not good, and it's not been very good. So, Mega Excadrill EX, though, does the same amount of damage with the second attack as Mega Manectric, except it requires 2 more energies. Yes, you don't lose them, but, like, still pretty awkward. And yes, you have Metang to get energies on, but let's be honest, Metang isn't super good. This deck does not seem very good, I'm not going to lie, but apparently a handful of people have played it to some success. Honestly, is this the most played successful deck here from the new set? Might be. Not that this is like the best deck in the game, it's the best of the new decks, which aren't super good, and it is day 1 as well, so you're going to see some weird stuff, and I suppose this is probably one of the simpler decks to build, but definitely interesting to see here. Then we see Mega Chandelure EX with a single prize Chandelure. Okay, that's interesting. Not at all what I was expecting there. We see the new Mega Chandelure EX does increases retreat cost by 1 colorless, and then it does 130, 50 more for each colorless in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. Honestly, don't know what this deck's doing. Okay, so I think this is. Then we see the single prize Chandelure. I believe it does 30 for each card in your opponent's hands. Let me double check on that one. And then its ability says both players draw a card. So yeah, no, not that one. This one here, yeah, 30 for each card in your opponent's hand. I guess it's an Alakazam counter or something like that now, but it's a funny card here. I don't know what this deck's doing. I'm not gonna lie. What's the stage 1 do? The stage 1 isn't good, right? Yeah, no. I mean, it's good for a setup. Actually, the stage 1, it gets 3 Lampins from your deck onto your bench. So maybe that's a big part of the deck, and then you can like rare candy and get like a full bench of Chandelures, which you actually should. Yeah, you. No, you can almost get a full bench of Chandelures. So no, you can. Yeah, you could get a 3 Chandelures or like a full board of Chandelures. You can get 6 with this list. I was thinking through if you can actually do it with the 2 candies, and yeah, 2 candies plus the 4 that are regularly evolved, or quote regularly evolved. Obviously, the Lampin sheet into play. Anyways, that isn't like actually good though. You can trap. You see Nighttime Mine as well, another disruptive card here. Again, Nighttime Mine, so good, so good. Not actually, it's like fine. But definitely an interesting deck here. Not sure what's going on, but see. The list is very similar as well, actually. We see, again, more the single prize Chandelure, maybe even as a draw engine. It's a pretty bad draw engine. I mean, it draws 1. I was talking about the Toucannon being bad, drawing 1 on stage 2. This draws 1, but your opponent also draws 1, so it's pretty terrible. I made a video talking about the worst draw engines, and this is one of them. You're not really supposed to just use this as a draw engine. And you can use it to attack with and do some fun stuff. Oh, and you can play with Mega Frostlass. I completely forgot about this for cards that let your opponent draw cards. By the way, I'm going to make, hopefully, a really sick video on Mega Frostlass Dragapult deck I built, which, trust me, I know it's Dragapult, but it is sick. And I might make a video, and I've made some videos talking about it, but I might want to make a longer video with it's more scripted. But anyways, that's not this. This definitely seems kind of bad. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, people are playing it though. Then we got Rampardos EX and Bastiodon. This is fossil stuff. We got two people playing it here. Bastiodon is a wall that walls Pokemon with two or less energy attached. Or no, sorry. If it's on your bench, then it makes your it protects all your Pokemon. So it is a wall, but it needs to be on your bench. It's kind of weird. And then you have Rampardos. This one can move energy on a coin flip, does some like okay damage, I guess. Honestly, not super good. Pretty bad, to be honest. And then you see Lunatone Solvok as the only basics is a 2/2 Lunatone Solvok line because they are fossils. And then Fossil Excavation Lab, which cheats out, or not cheats out, but searches out fossils there as well. Being a really nice helper for the fossil decks. Definitely a weird deck here, but kind of interesting as well. Then we see another list. Oh, let's go. It's a Rampardos EX with Cinderace. If you know me, you know one of my favorite decks that I've played recently is Cinderace Tortuga. The deck is not good. I'm not gonna lie. It's quite bad, but it's really funny. It can do some sick stuff. Like I think I've talked about that deck some as well. It's real weird because Cinderace and Tortuga don't really have synergy, but this is a similar idea here. Cinderace is a Pokemon you can start. This will stop you from mulliganing. The deck only runs one basic. Well, okay, the deck runs one basic Pokemon, but the fossils are also basic Pokemon once you play them. And then also it runs Cinderace, which you can start. It's not a basic, but you can start it, or you can not start it. This allows you to control your mulligans and just do some weird, wacky stuff there and accelerate as well. It's honestly a very good Pokemon. If you start it, it's like one of the best basics in the game because it's a stage 2. So if you play it as a basic, it is kind of crazy. If you don't, it's terrible. So or bad. It's not even horrendously terrible. But overall, we see that Cinderace is awesome. That's the overall thing there. Maybe not actually, but it's really cool. Also, we see Colossus Tenacity as the engine with the fossil excavation. What's it called? What's the translation? Fossil excavation site. There we go. As well as Grand Tree to set you up, which is kind of cool. We got Mega Lopunny EX with Mega Frostlass. Oh, it runs the new supporter, which discards an energy from your opponent's Pokemon, as well as the item which confuses both actives. Of course, you're looking to switch a lot with this deck, so the fact that you're confusing yourself is completely fine. You're just gonna like retreat. You can also, by the way, retreat if you're confused, which is why pairing it with Retreat Lock with like Yveltal and stuff like that is interesting that we saw earlier there. Then we see another list. This is pretty boring. Doesn't play any. I mean, it's fine, but it doesn't play any new cards there. And then we got a Marnie's list. Oh, apparently this was created by someone as well. And an Ends list, which won with Dark Bell, which is fine. And another list with 2 Dark Bell. Wow, that's crazy. We got Mega Venusaur here. Got Dragapult. Wow, there's definitely lots of Dragapult lists. Just showing like a couple. And then we see Dark Bell, Dragapult. Yeah, can't wait to be like flipping all the coins against Dragapult. Oh, Dark Bell, and we got the supporter which removes energy. I'm sure we're all gonna love that. We got a new armor, new Armarouge. What? I forgot this card existed. It does 40 more for each your bench Pokemon with fire energy attached. Maybe for Crustle. I don't know. That could make sense. Maybe. Then we see Festival Lead with a new Gladion card. Okay, this card is so sick. Maybe my favorite card from the set. There's so many sick cards in the set. Okay, no, sorry, this isn't actually my favorite card, but this archetype is potentially my favorite archetype from the set. And it says you can only play it if it's the last card in your hand, then you do 80 more damage to your points active. Interesting to see in Festival Lead, where it's a deck where you have a lot of searching options, allowing you to hopefully thin your hand down when needed there. We see Slowking. Nothing new in this deck, I don't think, but it's Slowking, which is kind of cool. We got Mega Greninja. It's new internationally, not new in Japan. But overall, there's so many cool decks from this set, and I'm so excited to be playing with them. But tell me in the comment section what decks you're most excited for. Obviously, Chaos Rising also just released, so I'm excited for all the cool stuff happening in the Pokemon TCG community. Obviously, Japan has the cards earlier, so we do see a peek into our future if you're not in Japan there. International players on like live and stuff like that. Super excited for this, but I hope you all are too, as I said. Also, huge shout out to my YouTube members for supporting me. It really does mean a lot. But I hope you all enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe. It really does help support the channel, and it's completely free. And as I was excited to in the next video.